Good evening everyone and welcome to the 2022 Live Here, Love Here Community Awards hybrid celebration. Just a few short years ago, none of us would even have heard of a hybrid event. How the world has changed. It's hard to believe 12 months has flown by since we last met. This time last year, we were forced to take our celebrations fully online and had an enjoyable Tales of the Times evening at home on our own sofas. But tonight we've been able to offer the best of both worlds, with guests attending in person at the Life Centre in Belfast and many more of you once again joining in at home. Wherever you're watching from, you're most welcome. Tonight's event is once again about storytelling. It's an opportunity to revel in some good news for once, because despite the challenges facing individuals and communities and what sometimes seems like never-ending doom and gloom in the news, local people continue to make heroic efforts to improve the environment on their doorstep, making things look more beautiful across Northern Ireland and lifting the spirits of their communities in the process. Tonight we'll be celebrating 8 of these inspirational individuals. But before we go very much further, I know that Dr Ian Humphreys from Keep Northern Ireland Beautiful, the environmental charity which manages the Live Here, Love Here programme, would like to say a few words of welcome. Over to you, Ian.
Good evening everyone, and whether you've joined us in person or are watching from home, it's a pleasure to once again invite you to take part in our annual Community Awards celebration. We're all here to highlight the amazing work of community volunteers who do so much to increase awareness of civic pride and environmental improvement issues across Northern Ireland. And I suppose what makes each and every one of you tonight's winners exceptional is that you've decided that the best way to create change in the world isn't to talk about it and complain and moan, it's just to get out there and start doing it. And of course, getting your hands dirty is leading by example, and you've inspired others to do the same. And it's that inspiration that infuels everything that we do within Live Here, Love Here, which of course is a very successful and long-lasting partnership. The past 12 months have been difficult for everyone as the initial adrenaline created by the pandemic lessened and was replaced by the daily grind of just getting through it. But there have been many good news stories too. And as Joe has just said, if there was ever a good time that people needed good news stories, it's now. And at Keep Northern Ireland Beautiful, we've noticed a clear growth in public interest around all the matters environmental. And the wider public is starting to make the connections between issues like litter and single-use plastics and between the problems like pollution and the loss of all our nature. And of course, the overarching issue of climate change has been on everyone's minds, with COP26 in Glasgow back in November creating a focal point for public attention. We've seen a tremendous increase in Adopt a Spot groups since this time last year, and we're delighted to manage the distribution of £1.7 million of grant assistance for pollinators from the Department of Agriculture, Environment and Rural Affairs. The level of interest in these activities gives me great hope for the future, because as people start to shower their love and attention on their local communities, they inevitably start to care more about the wider environment as well. And at legislative level too, there have been encouraging developments. I hope that the increase in Northern Ireland's carrier bag levy, for example, will discourage use of single-use bags, which create huge amounts of unnecessary waste. Some of the money from this levy will support our eco-schools environmental education work, which is so important as we want generations coming after us to have a much deeper commitment to caring for the environment and to understanding the science of climate change and to affect their decision making. And there's also many discussions going on at government level about making businesses who produce so much of the packaging that your groups have to pick up off the ground take more responsibility for the problem. Serious conversations and consultations are also underway about how we can manage our waste as part of a truly circular economy, which is one where products are designed with waste in mind and then get used and reused or recycled fully, and virtually nothing goes to landfill. I'm hopeful that before too long, we'll move from the talking to the action phase on many of these issues. And we've also had a huge amount of interest in our new carbon literacy training courses, with people from all walks of life telling us that they're doing this training and it's really changed the way they think about their lifestyle. My colleague Scott Howes will tell you more about this initiative in a little while. And it's worth mentioning that if you sign up for one of these courses, which are open and free, you'll be well placed to apply for our new Climate Change Challenge Fund, which offers community groups like yours grants up to £5,000 for local projects to tackle climate change. You might be interested in starting up a community fridge project to address food waste and food poverty at the same time. Or maybe you'll think about your community benefiting from a school uniform swap scheme to reduce textile waste and help families on low incomes. The ideas are up to you. Anyway, that's the thing about a wasteful society. Systems that create a lot of waste have a huge amount of crossover with societal problems like poverty and loneliness. So by building projects that tackle climate change, we can perhaps make the day-to-day lives of people in our communities better too. And we know that you're people who care about all these things. So I hope I've given you an idea of some of the great work that's going on behind the scenes, and I look forward to seeing the films from this year's worthy winners. But before that, a few words from Environment Minister, whose department has been a great supporter and key partner of Live Here, Love Here from the very start.
Good evening everyone. I'm honoured to have been invited to address your event this evening, and this awards ceremony pays tribute to the hard work of the many volunteers involved in this programme. And it's heartening to see supporters of tonight's 8 Community Award winners gathered in person, as well as remotely, to offer well-deserved congratulations to this group of inspirational volunteers for their efforts during the past year. I understand that pre-COVID this event had typically been a gala award ceremony, but like many other aspects of our lives, has been restyled into a hybrid event with both virtual and in-person attendees. I'm delighted to see how so many of you have adjusted and adapted through these challenging times to ensure this successful programme continues, and I now have this opportunity to highlight the great work undertaken by individuals and groups in these unprecedented times. This event recognises the hugely important work of all the selfless volunteers who have put themselves forward, shouldered new responsibilities to support and improve their communities in various localities throughout Northern Ireland. You have spent countless hours delivering improvements for us, all through your practical work on the ground. You're an outstanding example of the power of community volunteering, and tonight is also a chance for the volunteers themselves to thank their own families and friends. I am sure that behind every devoted volunteer are family and friends who assist and provide essential support in their own free time. Tonight's event is largely about stories. It is the stories and the small details of the work you've done and your motivations for doing it that are so inspiring. Although every project is unique and distinctive, there are really strong themes and values that shine through. There's a clear love of place, shown by the high regard for the places you call home and the communities in which you live. There's an impressive amount of optimism. The work that you do would be impossible without the strong foundations of enthusiasm, commitment and energy. You have shown importance of collaboration, strong leadership, with an impressive ability to bring people together. And for each and every group, there's a huge determination to protect, preserve and improve our precious environment. What I find particularly inspiring is your ability to develop and broaden your projects and to try new things. Some of you started out with a desire to simply do something about the litter in your communities, and for example have now branched out into biodiversity work by availing of my department's pollinator grant scheme. I hope that your appetite for innovation and growth continues, and the new skills, knowledge and connections gained through your volunteering work are further built upon. Can I wish you all the very best this evening? I hope you all enjoy the entertainment as you celebrate and enjoy the many examples of civic pride and community spirit. And finally, I would like personally to thank each and every one of you for your efforts, initiative and hard work during this past year. Your efforts have been selfless and inspirational, and while they have may be unpaid, their value is beyond price.
So now for the part of the evening we've all been looking forward to, the chance to watch and appreciate the great work done by our worthy winners. First up, we've got 4 short films from tidy Randalstown, who have been doing a lot to improve the cleanliness of their area. Springhill Community House in Belfast will show us what they've been getting up to, improving well-being and preventing social isolation. Larne Eco Rangers, who are going from strength to strength, will tell us what their large number of volunteers have been doing to tackle litter and educate young people on the issue. And we'll also hear from the handy helpers from Queen's University Belfast, who've been working hard to not only improve the environment, but to improve relations between students and local residents.
I'm Helen Boyd. I'm very proud to be chairperson of Tidy Randalstown, a group that is well established in the area looking after the environment and getting really involved with the community. Over the years we have done a big mixture of improving the look of the place and improving the environment. And then those two things together have brought us into being involved in community in a very big way. And as a result of developing relationships with a wide range of age groups and a large profile of people, we're now very, very involved in the community. And it's not just us that people are speaking to more, but they're speaking to each other more. Most of our volunteers are people who have tapped one of our shoulders as we've been working. Somebody will come along and they'll say, you know, I have been watching how Tidy Randalstown works. I've also seen the fun that you have together, and we've seen the difference that it's made, and they've thought about it and they ask us, could they join us? And generally that is how we get new volunteers.
I'm Suzanne, I'm Secretary of Tidy Randalstown, and we're planting a lot of plants in our main area in Randalstown, which is Moors Lane. And the difference being that it's going to be plants that are there all year. Usually the council and ourselves, we would have been putting in plants in the summertime and then pulling them out when it came in the autumn time, and they were gone. Whereas these plants then will attract birds, will attract wildlife. There's various plants will give bloom in the winter time. So it means you're more or less having like summer all year long. With our volunteering, we have a core of about 25 volunteers that come out no matter what the weather is. It could be raining, it could be snowing, it could be gale force wind. We have a group of 20 litter pickers who go out every 10 days and clean up around the town. We have all these little groups, the deadheaders, the water carriers, and we make it fun. It's fun, and if someone says, I can't come out, that's fine, that's not a problem. But volunteering, you're giving something back to the community. And the people see that, and they see that you're out there and that you're interested in them. It's people having someone have an interest in them, and a town having an interest in it.
Volunteering requires a lot of commitment and a lot of patience, and things don't always work out maybe as well as we might think when we start on a particular project. And I have to say that the volunteers in Randalstown who have been with us for many years are so faithful to the cause of the environment and improving community. I couldn't speak highly enough of the volunteers in this town, and we wouldn't be where we are today if it wasn't for them. And I just want to say to all of the volunteers a heartfelt thanks.
My name is Kieran Cahill. I'm the coordinator here at Springhill Community House, which is an adult education centre based in Springhill in West Belfast. The project here at Springhill Community House normally delivers education, training and health awareness, but during the pandemic we couldn't deliver it in the way that we wanted to. So we had to look at new and innovative ways of supporting families at home. So we came up with a number of projects that would do that, and that would give people who were either isolating or during the lockdown things that they could do around their home, things that involved the environment. And one of the projects that we came up with was a sunflower seed, a ray of sunshine, so that families could follow the growth of the flower. As we emerged out of the pandemic, they could follow that. And it created a lot of, social media interest. Almost 4,000 families in the Upper Springfield area received the sunflower, and that's, what we were proud of doing. But as well as that, we were doing other things that was about growing your own at home. So we supplied the materials, the planting materials, some flowers, some vegetables that people could grow at home while they were during lockdown. Again, we were able to provide acorns at home so that people could grow those and watch those grow and as we come out of the lockdown. We also have an emoji garden where people, it used to be a derelict spot, you might call an antisocial spot. So part of that was about reclaiming that and having plants that people could plant in memory of people that had passed away, their loved ones, so they got a tag and they could label the plant. And that was very successful, and it's still ongoing, all of these months later. Well, the benefits of all of what we do is about improving people's health and well-being. Particularly during the time of the pandemic, I think there was a lot of issues around mental health and people were finding it very difficult. So all that we done, all of the activities that we provided was about improving people's outlook. Look, at the end of the day, we're going through a tough time, but we'll get through it and we'll get through it together. Well, without Live Here, Love Here, we wouldn't have been able to deliver some of the projects that we had. It was great to receive the funding that they did for the Emoji Garden, and it's great that they're recognising the work that we are doing. We are busy getting on with the work that we do, and sometimes we need to step back and think about it and think about the positive impact it's having on the community. So it's good for us that Live Here, Love Here are recognising and acknowledging the work that we're doing, and we're very thankful for it.
My name's Ruth Lawrence and I'm a volunteer eco-ranger. I spent my free times coming out to the road, the country roads, cleaning up litter that is left by visitors and locals alike. We're here in a place called Capnawood today, which is on the Starbog Road, so it's between Kilwater and Glenarm. Very scenic area, but also very heavily littered. I got involved during the lockdown. I had been in England for 20 years and I came back to live in my local area and to go walk one day, and was so upset at the state that people had left the countryside in that I started to litter pick myself. And then Abe and the Eco Rangers came along to the local area not long after that and did a group litter pick in Glenarm, and I got involved with that as well, and it's been pretty much constant ever since. Abe got me on board managing the local hub, and so I'm out pretty much weekly cleaning up the local roads. Well, I would usually do it on a weekly basis, and I vary my roads, and it would usually take me about 3 hours on average, sometimes more if it's particularly dirty. We find everything from household equipment that people have cleared out of their houses and then just thrown it into the shucks or the ditches here. I have found dead animals. I have found an awful lot of takeaway stuff, and that tends to be mostly what we find is takeaway stuff. So people go out on a night and have a takeaway meal and then heel it over the hedge on the way home. Keep Northern Ireland Beautiful are an amazing organisation. They are so passionate about the environment, passionate about the climate, passionate about wildlife, passionate about keeping our country clean. Live Here, Love Here particularly. It says it in the name, Live Here, Love Here. And the way you do that is by looking after what we've got. If we love people, we look after them. So why would we not do it for the same, for our country, for where we live? For Eco Rangers, we would like to see the day when we don't have to pick up other people's rubbish, but we can actually look at ways of increasing biodiversity in our areas and making sure that the wildlife that we have is sustained going forward. We get people stopping in cars and stopping in Land Rovers, and they have no idea the impact they have on us when we're out litter picking and it's teeming down and it's cold and we could be at home in bed reading a book. But when a farmer stops and says, do you know, I saw this the other day, you're making a big difference and I really appreciate it, that makes a big difference. So for people who aren't picking, encourage, and if you can, pick.
I'm Steve Montgomery. I am the coordinator for the Handy Helpers project at Queen's University Belfast, and we are currently down at Lennox Field Tree Nursery, which is a community project that is right beside Queen's Accommodation and is one of the main projects that we as the Handy Helpers work in partnership with in our local community. Our volunteers are made up of anybody who's a Queen's student. but we have this vast range of people involved. So we have like 85 different nationalities in the Queen's student body. 76 have volunteered with us in the last couple of years. So really dynamic group of people, and the age range is anything from 18 up to 50. So if you actually look over here, so just behind me, there's 2-year-old oaks. They're actually going to be taken up to our accommodation site and planted in our accommodation site. So they're all brand new 2-year oak trees, and they're actually going to create like a new border of trees all around the site to kind of beautify the site up there and can sustain the conservation up there, because there is a lot of land and stuff in behind, and it's trying to just keep that wildlife and everything there and happy.
So my name's Alison McBride. I'm the volunteer SU intern in Queen's Students' Union, and I'm here. I've been helping out with Sans Souci Residents Association and with other projects with the Handy Helpers. We would come here every few months to help plant trees in the tree nursery here, and planting bulbs, and so this is a tree nursery, Lynsey tree nursery. We also have plants along the Malone Road as well, so up at the Spar and along the university buildings like the David Kerr building and stuff. So it's just to help to make the community look a bit nicer, and it's great to connect with the residents here while we're doing it, and creates a bit of a relationship between students and volunteers and the local residents as well, which is brilliant.
My name is Margaret, and I'm a resident of Sans Souci Park, which is just parallel to here. The Handy Helpers are young and enthusiastic. They're also a lot stronger than we are. They've been a great help, because when we undertake a big project like the planting of the trees and the containers, we as residents couldn't have managed it on our own. So to have that help was invaluable. And they've been so good, and they're always so cheerful. It's just a delight to have them.
Well, I don't know about you, but I found that really inspirational. Many congratulations to all 4 groups. Just before we move on to our second group of winners, I'd like to introduce you to a member of the Keep Northern Ireland Beautiful team. They not only manage the partnership, but also manage the Eco Schools network across Northern Ireland. The organisation has been working hard to connect its different programmes through 3 major environmental themes, namely pollution, biodiversity and climate action. Scott Howes leads the Climate Action team, and he'd like to let you know about some training opportunities as well as some new grants that might be of interest to your groups as we all try to figure out what we can do to tackle the climate emergency.
Great to be here at the Live Here, Love Here Community Awards with such an amazing range of talent, commitment and knowledge. The range and quality of work being done in local community groups is truly inspiring. My name is Scott Howes, and I work in the Climate Action team at Keep Northern Ireland Beautiful, and I'd like to take up a few minutes of your time this evening to tell you about a new, free, DERA funded training programme that is now available to community leaders and the groups they work with across Northern Ireland. As we know, the news about climate change is a constant challenge to us all. The science is not good, time is not on our side, and impacts are being felt here in Northern Ireland as well as around the world. So many of us want to get involved, and yet it's so often difficult to know exactly what the science is telling us and exactly what we can do that will make a difference, how to do our bit. Well, our new training programme can help with all these issues. We have been funded by DERA to work with an organisation called the Carbon Literacy Project to develop a programme that will raise awareness about changes we can all make in our daily lives that reduce carbon emissions to the atmosphere, reduce the effects of these greenhouse gases, and reduce the impacts of climate change. We know that climate change is something we all need to respond to, from elected leaders, government departments, global industry and organisations, as well as us, you and me, citizens. We all have our part to play. So, if you want to feel more informed about the science of climate change, if you want to feel confident in discussing the issues with friends, families, colleagues, if you want to overcome the anxiety that can come with living in a climate emergency, and if you want to know how the specific things we can do really could make a difference, this training programme could be for you and your community. We've recently started to roll out the training to community groups and leaders such as yourselves here this evening, and we've a few words from previous attendees to provide you with some feedback about the programme.
Yeah, so my name's Lynsey Poole. I run Larne Area Community Support Group, which is a community group in the Larne area. So we were really set up as a social media hub for positivity and support during the coronavirus pandemic. We've now sort of moved on to doing a lot of physical activities. So we're setting up a community fridge and we're hoping to do an incredible garden. So the emphasis is on edible there, so with edible plants and herbs. And I came across the carbon literacy training and thought it was absolutely fantastic. Just to go alongside with that, and obviously with the community fridge and surplus food, we're hoping to sort of reduce our carbon impact and also educate people in the local area in using food and gardening and growing their own food as well. So I actually came across the carbon literacy training advertised on Mid and East Antrim Borough Council's website. There was a few people that I would be sort of involved with, would do a lot of different community things in the local area, and I found that they had done it and it was something that I was really interested in, so I went ahead and booked on to the course. So I had chosen to do the training because first and foremost I'm a mother of 4 young children, and obviously it's going to be, they are the future, it's going to impact their future. I feel that it's really important to be able to educate our younger people in how to reduce your carbon footprint going forward. As a community connector and a community leader within the Larne area, I also think it's very important to be able to educate people and also pass on that information in how to reduce your carbon footprint and just provide some support in that fashion as well. I think the training was absolutely fantastic. The facilitators were brilliant, really positive, really fantastic in their knowledge, very knowledgeable, very approachable as well. So, you know, anything, you could ask absolutely any question at all. I found I learned an awful lot more than I thought that I was going to, and that it was a really enjoyable experience as well.
The programme in total consists of 8 to 10 hours of learning with 3 self-study units. This involves reading and watching presentations, and 4 online meetings, coming together with colleagues across Northern Ireland to share knowledge, views and reflections on the challenges and solutions to climate change at a community level. We look at the science. What is global warming? What is the carbon cycle? We look at carbon literacy, our awareness of how so many of our daily actions and activities can be linked to fossil fuel use and greenhouse gases. We look at emissions, which countries emit the highest levels, who emits the least, and are emissions going up or down? We look at impacts in Northern Ireland and across the globe. We study the responses of governments at home and abroad, looking at policy and legislation. We listen to the voices of young people and those most vulnerable to the impacts of climate change. We take a look at our own carbon footprints and begin to take a look at the ways we can make a difference, what we can do each day to do our bit. We don't need to be perfect, and we don't have to know it all or do it all. We just have to start somewhere. Start small, take the first steps to be part of the change. If you're a community leader keen to work with your community group to help spread the word about how we can all be involved in reducing the impacts of climate change so that we can have a stable climate, cleaner air, a healthy natural world, lower pollution levels, access to local sustainable food, clean water, energy that comes from the sun, wind and tides, take a look at our programmes. With 8 to 10 hours of learning and modules available at a range of times, day and evening, we can train community leaders to become carbon literate and certified through the Carbon Literacy Project and CPD. We can provide positive, forward-looking choices that are manageable and achievable for most people. We can help replace much of the anxiety around climate change with action. We can then provide you with all the materials you need, a trainer pack, script, PowerPoints and more to deliver a similar programme to your community groups. Or your groups themselves could attend one of our regular Carbon Smart Communities carbon literacy sessions. And if you're looking for a little extra funding, our UK Community Renewal Fund can provide grants to your group for climate action projects, but you'll need to be quick. Applications close on the 8th of April. If you'd like to find out more about the training, do visit the Climate Action page on our KNRB website or scan the code that should be on the screen shortly. Thank you all for listening. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and we look forward to working with you soon.
Thank you very much, Scott, and I'm sure many people listening here and online will be keen to find out more about those important opportunities. Well, we're now going to join our final 4 winners. Claire Hassan is a teacher from Moneymore who runs a popular biodiversity club in her school, helping her students to learn more about our native species. We've also got a biodiversity champion from Creggan Country Park, which has been working to support pollinators, birds and also a protected species of bat. Edward Campbell from Guildford just can't walk by a piece of litter without stopping to pick it up, a compulsion many of you will be familiar with. And finally, we'll meet the inspirational volunteers from the Killyleagh Clean Team who are part of the village's thriving community association.
My name is Claire Hassan. I'm a science teacher at St Pius X College in Magherafelt. We are standing in our nature area. It's an area that has always existed. We have had our pond for many years and the trees and the shrubs. But with the help from Live Here, Love Here, we were able to enhance it to provide an area for pupils and staff alike to enjoy being outdoors and to appreciate the nature that's all around us. I run a biodiversity club within the college and it's been in existence for perhaps well over 10 years, and we meet up every week on a set day at lunchtime, and it's open to Key Stage 3, Key Stage 4 pupils or even older pupils if they wish, and we carry out lots of different activities. We try to focus on a particular species and learn a little bit about it and carry out projects on it. We go on field trips to different different nature reserves in Northern Ireland. And really what I wanted to do was to help the pupils to appreciate their surroundings, their school grounds, and we really wanted to make sure that they had somewhere to go to find out about different plants and animals that are just all around us, and to improve and enhance their understanding of nature and how important it is. So we started this project in the middle of the summer, and my father was a great help and he really loved getting involved. So we first of all just improved the pathways, and they were sort of eroded. So we put down some pebbles, some stones, and my father, he got some recycled wood and made some benches for me. We put little plaques, like little inspirational plaques on them to try and give some people something to think about whenever they sit down. Whenever you come into the garden, in the summertime especially, it was such a lovely time to be working on it because everything was in bloom. All the leaves were, so lovely and colourful, and there were butterflies, lots of different types of butterflies, and we even, for the first time ever, seen an elephant hawk moth caterpillar, which was just fascinating for me, and I couldn't believe we had something so special in our school grounds. The pond, just yesterday, we had frogs spawning in it, 6 of them. It was amazing. We have lots of hazel, we've got oak, we have a lovely alder tree. We've planted bulbs, which are, we've got daffodils and crocuses, which are obviously very good for early bumblebees coming out of hibernation. We planted some, lots more pollinator friendly plants. We've created a little wildflower patch, and a local nature expert has given us some little plugs for us to put in there, and the pupils were actively involved in planting out the seeds for that. We planted some other little saplings, and we have made little bee homes, and the technology department got involved in putting up a bat home and a hedgehog box. Generally, just to try and keep this as an area where everyone can enjoy the natural world and appreciate the wildlife that is, thriving in our school grounds, and to keep it like that.
My name's Karen Healy. I'm the Environmental Officer here at Creggan Country Park in Derry. Creggan Country Park is a not-for-profit organisation, and we're designed to connect people with nature, with the outdoor pursuits and with water sports, to improve their mental and physical health. Our Live Here, Love Here project helped us to connect people of all ages to nature, and through that we did planting programmes, we did upcycling. So we had old boats that we were actually going to send to landfill, and the project actually allowed us to upcycle it and turn them into planters that are now in our nature hub. And the nature hub used to be an old basketball court, and it was renowned for antisocial behaviour, and now through Live Here, Love Here we were able to transform the space so it can be used for environmental education, nature therapy, and just a place for people from urban areas to come and relax. Environmental education is really important these days because of the threat of climate change and the biodiversity crisis that we have. So it's important that children understand why we need nature, why biodiversity is important, where their food comes from, the fact that water quality, air quality all combine to give them food, to help them breathe better. It's all linked to our health, our mental health, our physical health. So it's important for children and people of all ages to understand it better. As a not-for-profit organisation, we rely on volunteers to help with the upkeep of the park. So our Love Here, Love Here project that transformed the old basketball court, we were able to recruit volunteers from schools, from community groups, from older people groups, individuals, residents living nearby as well came over to help. So we're really thankful for them all for helping us transform the space. Well, the last 2 years have been unbelievably difficult for everyone, but having a green space, I think everybody has realised the importance of green spaces and connection to nature because it helps boost your mental and your physical health. Going a walk in nature when you're feeling down and it just transforms your mood that day. So having a green space and a high quality green space like that is really important for people to come and relax and boost their mental health. Since the area was transformed, now we've been able to use it for environmental education. So we have loads of games over there. We have a hedgerow maze, so the schools come over use it, community groups use it. We've run events out of it as well too for families on Saturdays. So the reaction to it has been fantastic, and we've just installed new picnic tables, so disabled wheelchair friendly picnic tables. It's because we want to make the park accessible for everyone and have something that everyone can enjoy. We couldn't do the work we do without the support of all of our funders, our partners, our volunteers, our schools and our local residents. So this award is theirs because for biodiversity improvements to work, it has to be a partnership approach. So we want to say a big thank you to everybody that supported us over the years, and going forward, looking forward to seeing everybody coming back again now.
Edward Campbell, everyone else, family and friends know me as Ned. A few people know me as Eddie. I'm a salesman for a steel company, and I pick litter as a side job. I started when lockdown began in 2020. I was sent home from work in the March, and as a little bit of exercise I decided I would walk from here to the local village, and on the way down the road, like everyone, I see a few bits and pieces of litter. Mostly as you drive by you see a few things lying on the ground, but as you're walking down the road and you're at ground level, the amount of dirt and litter and rubbish that was in the sort of grass verges was unbelievable. So I took it upon myself during those daily walks to just lift a few bits and pieces that were ugly looking, but as I say, as you get further and further you see the amount, and it really started to frustrate me that as much as I was lifting, there was more there the next day. I'm very sort of proud of the area. I like it to look well, and as you drive up the road and you see, you know, burger, chip papers, cans, bottles, anything, it just takes the shine off the area. And I cover about 7 or 8 miles of a track. I break that down into 3 different things, 3 different areas. Sort of go one way one day and then one day the next day, etc. I have went further afield. I've been as much as 7 or 8 miles away, and just seen areas that were in desperate need, along the towpath down to Moyallen, even onto the main Banbridge line, and I just, as I say, anywhere I see that maybe someone's needed, not just necessarily me, I take it upon myself in the mornings and just go with the bag and pick up as much as I can. People have stopped along the way. People that I know and people that I don't know have stopped the cars and stopped with me and said, look, you're doing a great job. Some have been very appreciative and thanked me a lot. If someone's going past and they've thrown something out, hopefully by seeing me on the road they're going, oh, there's somebody there actually picking this stuff up, maybe I shouldn't have thrown it out in the first place. But hopefully the wider community sees the benefit of keeping the place tidy. There are animals in the fields. You know, animals can pick things up and chew them and do all sorts of things, so, you know, farmers and animals are expensive. And you wouldn't want any animal, especially where we live here, there's a lot of horse activity, and you know, they can get injured, they can pick things up and things. So yeah, I'm kind of hoping that the wider benefits are not just for me, but obviously they're for the neighbours as well. So my next step with the council is to speak to them to get a project organised where I can maybe get some of the people in the local village involved. I know there are some kids have been out not that long ago with the gentleman, which is great to see that the village is obviously getting a little bit of attention, but as I'm sure you know, if you drive on the country roads, the litter is just, it's piling up. There's quite a lot of it. But if people were to see lots more people out with a bit more activity, hopefully that would be the deterrent that would solve the problem for us.
My name's Lynsey and I live in Killyleagh in County Down. It's a lovely coastal village on the shores of Strangford Lough with a stunning castle, and I've been a member of the Killyleagh Community Association since the summer. The group was set up about 5 years ago, but recently we've taken more of an interest in environmental campaigns, and Live Here, Love Here have been fantastic to work with. We have been awarded pollinator grants. They've supported us with our litter picking campaigns, and we've recently just been awarded a marine litter grant to the tune of £16,000 to buy 26 new bins for Killyleagh. The Killyleagh Community Association set up a litter picking group in September last year called the Killyleagh Clean Team, and 10 to 20 volunteers now meet every Sunday morning and do litter picking around the town and along the seafront. And it's a really fun way to meet new people. I take my 3 girls along, they meet some of their friends, and it's amazing how much litter we've picked. We've managed to collect 1 tonne of litter in 5 months. So it's making a real difference to the town, to the community and to marine life here. It's been really well supported by Live Here, Love Here. They've provided us with the litter pickers, the bags, the high-vis jackets, and they've been so encouraged by our results. We've also had quite a lot of coverage in local press. Killyleagh has a lot going for it. It is a really beautiful village right on the shores of Strangford Lough. It's a very friendly place. When I moved here 14 years ago, the thing that really stood out to me was that everybody says hello to you in the street. We've got this stunning castle, but we have a litter problem, we have dog fouling, and we as a community just wanted to do something to try and improve the place that we live. And it's been fantastic to meet people that I maybe wouldn't have met before, to bring the children out and for them to work alongside older members of the community, all working together to try and create a sense of pride in the place we live in. People in Killyleagh do seem to be noticing what we're doing. They'll stop and talk to us if they see us out and about working, and also they'll post online. So we've got this huge following now on social media. It's a small village of about 4,000 people, and we've got about 2,000 views for lots of the work that we're doing, with people saying, "We're so delighted that you're doing this for us, thank you, can we give you anything?" And it's just lovely to see that they're noticing it and that they're grateful. And we hope that some of them will join us, because it's nice to have more company, and we certainly need more volunteers to keep it all going. We hope that Killyleagh will be known not just as a beautiful place to visit with really friendly people, but also that it would be known for its environmental projects.
Thank you for joining us for this year's Live Here, Love Here Community Awards. And a special thank you to all winners for their efforts and enthusiasm to keep Northern Ireland beautiful. To finish, we have a quick word from the Live Here, Love Here team.
Hello from the Live Here, Love Here team. Congratulations to all the winners of the 2022 Community Awards. We loved reading all your nominations. The whole panel here, we're really excited to hear about all your great work, and not just for the winners, but everybody who was nominated. The team would like to really thank everybody for your nominations and everybody for all your great work that you've done through 2021 and 2022. Congratulations to everybody. We're really looking forward to working with you again over the year, and for myself and the whole team, well done.
Well, I don't know about everybody else, but I've really enjoyed this meeting and this evening's award winners and watching all their fantastic films. It's been inspiring, uplifting, and extremely motivating. And on the subject of motivation, I hope you enjoy our next speaker. Jim Lawless is the author of a best-selling personal development book called Taming Tigers, which offers a systematic method for achieving your personal goals, whatever they might be. Jim travels the world inspiring senior management teams of large corporations to achieve their targets, and was originally booked pre-COVID to speak in person at this event. So you'll understand, due to all the uncertainty of the pandemic, Jim has sent us a short film explaining how he overcame self-doubt and the inertia that besets us all from time to time to achieve some extreme personal goals.
Hello, thank you very much for inviting me to join you, and many, many congratulations on all of your achievements, the stories that we're hearing about today of change, of making a difference. And my question is, so where are you going to take that? As the pioneers that you've proven yourselves to be, what's the next step? Where will you take it? And whenever we move into doing things that we haven't done before, those little voices of self-doubt will start to speak to us. The heartbeat might increase, the tummy might change how it feels. Guaranteed, some spectator who doesn't like doing things themselves will tell you precisely why you can't do it. And we need you to knock all of that to one side, to go smash the next stage of what you do out of the park. So I want to bring you a playbook today. We have a very short amount of time together. I'm going to bring you 3 rules of 10 from the playbook, and that playbook is called Taming Tigers. And the tiger is that thing that roars at us when heart and soul we want to move forward and do something that we've never done before, that's got uncertainty. We don't know whether we'll be able to do it, what other people might think of us. And so that the voices speak, the heartbeat quickens, the tummy changes. I've used these 10 rules, and I'm going to share the most important ones, the 3 most important ones today, in over 20 years now in organisations all across the world, and we've had some wonderful adventures, and many hundreds, about 500,000 people now have done extraordinary things as a result of being introduced to the 10 rules for taming tigers. But most importantly for you, this evening is, how do we connect? What have I done? What's my experience of this? And I want to share a couple of small things, not the most important things in my life where I've had to use these principles, but 2 that I'm very happy to share. One was I took a bet from a client. The bet was that I couldn't use this playbook to become a jockey riding in my first race live on the television under UK Jockey Club's, as it was, rules of horse racing, within 12 months of sitting on a horse for pretty much the first time. So I took this bet. I went home. I was very excited. I thought I could have taken a hard bet. I could have had to play tennis against Rafa Nadal. Can you imagine? No. I could have had to train for a marathon. No. I've got horse riding, which, as we all know, is a sitting down sport. How hard can it be? Which shows you what I knew about horses. I went to a big London state school, a comprehensive. There were many terrifying things in my 1980s London comp. There were a few good things, not many. But the one thing that none of us discovered in our school was the riding stables. I knew nothing about these things. So I went home, got on Google, and I learned. I learned that a jockey will usually start learning how to ride a horse somewhere between the ages of 3 months and 6 months. I'm 36, not good news. I learned that a jockey will usually start a race at a weight of between 7.5 and 9 stone. I was 12 stone. 25% of me has got to find a new home, and I've no idea how I'm going to do that. So to cheer myself up, I googled jockey mortality rate. Not a good Google. Went to bed stressed. I'm not sharing any of that because I think I was clever to do that. There are many more important things that you and your community have delivered than that. I'm sharing it because I honestly believed in my heart and my head I had no right showing up to even start that journey, and that I certainly couldn't finish it. The playbook took me through that. I'm interested at this stage in our relationship to ask the question, okay, pioneers, what is it that you really want to do, that you know needs to be done in your community, that you know others would encourage you to do, but that you believe you have no right showing up to do? It's too ambitious, it's too difficult. What's that thing? And are you sure you've got no right showing up to do it? Let's have a look at 3 of the principles. The first is to begin. Now let me paint the story. So All great adventures begin with an event. Every movie, Dorothy, she wants to leave Kansas, but she doesn't do anything. She sings us a song. She doesn't get the bus to Chicago until the wind blows her house away. Now she's got to change. She's got to go on the adventure. Luke doesn't want to leave Tatooine until his family are killed, and then he decides he has to go on his adventure. These enormous events start the story of change, and it's very much the same for us in how we live. Change starts with an event. And let me illustrate that from horse racing. So the first rule in our playbook is to act boldly today. None of us want to begin the thing, because it always means moving into uncertainty and risk. We have to start before we're ready to start, before we know how to do it. And if your school was like my school and your job was like my job, we got in trouble if we didn't know how to do it and we showed up and failed at doing the thing. Change starts with an event. We need to create that event to move it forward. So with horse racing, I immediately went on a diet, and I immediately booked a riding lesson, and I was in the pub on the following Friday having a pie and a pint with my friends, because we all know calories can't touch you on a Friday. I'm enjoying my dinner. My friend said, "What have you done, jockey man, that's bold?" I said, "I've been for a horse ride." They said, "Not bold." I said, "It was." They said, "It's not. Most of Europe will go for a horse ride, will go for on a diet this year, and most kids, most children, age 7, have had to go on a pony. This is not bold. What you need to do is ring up racehorse trainers." So I did. They all told me I was too old, I was overweight, and you can't ride horses, Jim. We're going to return to that, because what they've said there is very important. So I was back in the pub, not having a beer with my friends. I said, "Give me something very bold, because I'm not hearing anything that says I can't do this." Old, overweight, can't ride, really? So that's the best? That's the worst thing that could stop me? So I'm back with my friends. They said, "Ring 3 of the most senior people in all of British horse racing." I did. This was really set my tiger alight. They all engaged in a conversation. I was amazed. And within 48 hours, I'm having dinner with a woman called G. Armitage, the most successful female jump jockey that England has ever produced. Now she's called G. Bradburn. And at the end of dinner, she put her hand out. She said, "Okay, we start Saturday morning. Meet me here. We'll make a plan. We'll begin the plan. In a year, you'll be a jockey on the television." Yes? Ooh. Because I wasn't expecting that. To be quite honest, I was expecting her to say, "Really? A year? I don't think so. What you need to do is go home, get on your sofa, open a beer and watch Game of Thrones." And I would have said, "Thank you." But she didn't say that. If I shake her hand, I'm in Oz. Change starts with an event. We either wait for something to happen that will create that event, and maybe it never ever will, or we create it before we're ready. We take that leap. So rule 1 in the playbook, the most important rule in the playbook, is to act boldly, because time is limited. Now, let's have a look. And so, my question to you, what is the event? What is the bold act that you need to take to start exploring the thing that you think you have no business showing up to do? Our famous comfort zone is set up by a number of ideas, rules, more deep down inside us. What's safe, what isn't safe, what people like me can do, and what people like me really cannot do. And I had a set of rules. I mean, I was terrible at sport at school, and I'm going to be the only guy from my class who shows up on the TV in a televised sport, having not done any sport since I left school 18 years ago. This doesn't happen to people like me. I can't do this. Turned out that was wrong. And G. Armitage helped me see that. But first, let's go back to those racehorse trainers. You're too old, they told me. You're overweight, they told me, and you can't ride a horse. Well, all of those are a great story, aren't they? And let's use another great story that's affected us around the world and that I know is close to this community's heart, which is the story of carbon emissions. The petrol-driven automobile manufacturers of the world had, 4 decades to deal with their emissions. They didn't do all that much because they had a story. They had a business model and it needed protecting, a story about how the world worked. How you distributed cars, what a car plant looked like, what the distribution network looked like, how retailers make their money selling you spare parts, because electric vehicles, they don't need many spare parts. It took a fintech millionaire to use first principles thinking or design thinking to challenge this narrative thinking and to put these guys, in my view, to shame and ask them to accelerate fast into the world that we needed them to be in. These guys had a set of rules that said they could and couldn't, a set of stories. This guy, Elon Musk, worked from first principles. In other words, if I want to do this, what's the to-do list? And this is how G changed my entire life. My life expectancy, my relationship with my kids, my weight, my fitness, how I see myself, the fact that I could have a book published by Random House around the world, all changed by this woman introducing me to first principles thinking. In other words, what's the to-do list to get there? Let's forget the stories. And this was critical for her because when she wanted to be a jockey in the 80s, women weren't given rides in serious races. So she and 2 other women changed that by working from first principles. What do we need to do to get there? Let's forget the story. What's the story you need to forget? What are the rules in your rule book that you need to challenge and question that enable you to move forward? And finally, let's look at the third of the 3 that I'm going to share with you today, which is to commit to complete. And to do that, I would like to invite you to come freediving with me. Now, I chose to take the British freediving record. That's diving without a tank down to 100 metres in order to test some new ideas I had about the playbook. And this was the first British person to dive past 100. And I'd like to invite you to come with me on the dive. So take a deep ugly breath, a yoga breath into your tummy, not your chest. Hold that breath. Take a couple, then hold a big one, and let's go down to 100 metres together. At the beginning of this dive, I have to take a decision. The dive's in real time, by the way. I think you can see the clock ticking away there. It's going to be 2 minutes and 7 in total. I had to take a decision, and that decision is I'm now going to 101 metres. I cannot at the beginning of this dive think I'm going to go to 80 metres and when I get there, I'll stop, see if I like it, whether I want to carry on. Does it feel right? Because if I stop and invite the tiger to have a conversation with me at 80 metres away from my friends and my oxygen source, I think he's going to persuade me to come home. I have to commit to doing this thing. At 80 metres under the ocean, you're under, it's a beautiful place. This is not a macho sport, it's yoga. And by the way, if we have a problem, we're coming home incredibly quickly. It's just that I have to commit to going there if I don't have a problem, rather than letting myself have a wobble. At 80 metres under the ocean, I'm under 9 times the Earth's atmospheric pressure. It's a third of an atmosphere to where we come down in our aeroplanes at the end of our holidays. 1 atmosphere to outer space. I'm going to 11 atmospheres at 100 metres of change. 1 atmosphere to outer space, 11 to 100 metres. At 80 metres, 9 atmospheres of pressure change, which means that my lungs have been compressed down to the size of my clenched fist, which means that my diaphragm, the muscle that separates my tummy from my chest, has been sucked up into my chest cavity, like the dome of St. Paul's Cathedral, and my tummy has been pulled in by the vacuum, meaning that at 80, 90, 100 metres under the ocean, you look amazing. If you could stay like this, you'd be free diving with me. I have to know that's coming and that I'm ready and committed to going down to 100. if I'm not, I can't possibly have the world governing body judge award me the British record. And I think it's the same in your pioneering next adventure. It's going to be necessary to commit to going through the comfort zone, through the self-doubt, to having those conversations that I'm hoping you're going to have with your families tonight about what that next adventure is, about how you'd commit to seeing it through, listening to the tiger roar, listening to your rule books come out and start talking about why you couldn't do it, and then be able to laugh at yourself when you recognise exactly what we've spoken about today. But laugh kindly, knowing that that's human nature. But we need you to be able to pick up your pen, to write your story, to tame your tigers and move forward and change your communities. It's been an absolute pleasure spending time with you today, and I wish you every success writing your very important next pioneering chapter of change. Bye-bye.
Now, I doubt many of us are harbouring secret ambitions to take up the kind of extreme sports that Jim's just described, but I'm sure many of you do have goals and targets you'd like to see come to fruition in your communities. So, I hope you found some inspiration in the film we've just watched and are thinking, well, maybe I'll just go for it. I'd like to take a moment then to tell you about one of our ambitions at Keep Northern Ireland Beautiful and Live Here, Love Here, and it's to help bring about a new order, new legislation where companies that produce a lot of packaging, kind of packaging that you'll find yourselves lifting week in, week out, that these companies are expected to pay for some of the costs of recovering that material from our streets and roadsides, rather than us all paying as ratepayers. And this is called the polluter pays principle. Things have been moving in the right direction, but too slowly. And recently, we've been alerted that intensive lobbying from these companies and the plastics industry is seeking to dilute government resolve on the matter. Just this week, we, along with a lot of other organisations, have signed a joint letter, also with our sister organisations in England, Scotland and Wales, calling on our respective governments to hold the line and make sure that what we call extended producer responsibility includes strong and binding responsibilities around litter and the packaging that makes up so much of it. And like Jim Lawless though, we've absolutely no intention of giving up. And I'd like to ask your support, for your support on our call whenever public representatives seeking election or re-election come to your doors during this period leading up to the Assembly elections. However, I haven't forgotten that our main reason for being here tonight is to award our worthy winners with a little something in recognition of their achievements. So that's what we're going to do right now. Now, I'm afraid this bit's going to be taking place in real life, so that our virtual audience, I have to say now, thank you so much for joining us. I hope you found the evening inspirational, as I have, and good night, and thank you.